Hello guys and welcome back to the FPL Tom YouTube channel. In today's video we'll be covering the best Game Week 38 free hit draft. We'll also take a look at teams you should be looking to target for this final game week, and at the end we'll go through some differentials who could help you massively boost your rank this game week. Before we get started, I'd like to say a huge thank you to everyone who has subscribed to the channel over the past few weeks. We've hit our goal of 100 subs by the end of the season, and that has put the biggest smile on my face. You can't believe it. Thank you so much for everyone who's taken the time to watch one of my videos, like, comment and subscribe. You're absolutely the best people in the world, and I love every single one of you. We're now trying to hit 1,000 subs by the end of the season, so if you do enjoy the content that you see on the channel, please do subscribe, please do like the video, and finally let me know in the comments below what are your plans for Game Week 38. Starting off, our Game Week 38 free hit draft is probably one of the best goalkeeper options for Game Week 38 if you are in a free hit draft, and that is Hugo Lloris. Norwich have only scored 23 goals this season, 12 of them have come from Timo Pukki as well, so if you keep him quiet, you know, there's a pretty good chance Norwich aren't scoring. Spurs this season as well have had the 5th best expected goals conceded over the whole season. That's absolutely fantastic from them. And over the past 5 game weeks, they have only conceded 2 goals and have kept 3 clean sheets. Hugo Lloris, I'm pretty sure will play, like 99.9% sure he's nailed. I'm saying this after last week's comment where I said Schmeichel was nailed and he was dropped, so you know, Hugo Lloris, fantastic goalkeeper, been excellent this season. You know, just a solid player throughout the past few years in Premier League. And with this Norwich fixture in the final game week, I expect Spurs to keep a clean sheet. Obviously, they are going for the Champions League places. So, you know, if they are 1-0 down at some point, you know, the floodgates might open a little bit for Norwich. But we will have to see kind of how that game goes. But if you are looking for a defender as well, someone I'd recommend is Sessegnon, who has seemed to, you know, come into this side and has had excellent underlying data. I believe he has a better expected goal involvement than Alonso, Robertson and Cancelo over the past few weeks. So if you are looking for a little bit of a differential, I think he's 0.5% owned, then that would be an excellent option. But we've started our team with Hugo Lloris in goal. Starting off our back line, we have gone for Trent Alexander-Arnold. Obviously, highest scoring defender this season and has been pretty good all season. Something I would note though is over the past 5 game weeks, Robbo, Van Dijk and Matip have all outscored Trent. So if budget is a little bit of a concern, then maybe you could look for some of the other players. I know Van Dijk is potentially injured for the final game, so just check how the Southampton lineup looks like. But obviously with Trent, we do get the set pieces. We also get that with Robertson. But just make sure that the Southampton game kind of goes in Liverpool's favour, because if it doesn't, then I reckon we could see a little bit of rotation from Liverpool in this final game, as they'll be looking to prioritise the Champions League. So if the Southampton game goes Liverpool's way, and they could easily win the title, Liverpool are going to go full strength for this game, and Trent has to be one of the players that you're including in your team. Next, Trent, we have gone for João Cancelo, another fantastic player to own all season, 2nd highest scoring player, 5th highest scoring defender over the past 5 game weeks as well. Just make sure again with this one that, you know, Liverpool will still have a title challenge to put up, because I could see a little bit of rotation from City come the final game if they have kind of won it. So yeah, just make sure that game is played tomorrow. So just make sure that Liverpool have won it, or Liverpool have, you know, still got a title chance before putting João Cancelo. Something to consider though is the fact that City at the moment have a very thin defensive line at the moment. You know, they're dropping players like Diaz has gone. You know, they had to play Fernandinho and Laporte at the back. Laporte had his knee strapped up as well, so they don't look as convincing at the back at the moment. They seem very susceptible to any kind of long ball or a bit of pace over the top. Obviously, Villa have Ollie Watkins and Danny Ings. You imagine that they're probably going to just try and pump the ball up to them, kind of go a little bit more direct, because that did seem where City were a little bit vulnerable. So that is something to consider. But if City are in a title race, you want their best players on your team, and one of them is João Cancelo. Fantastic player all season, and I imagine that will continue against Aston Villa. And the final player to line up in our back line is Reece James. Now with this one, Chelsea play on Thursday, so just check what their team looks like because there could be a little bit of rotation in play. However, Reece James has had the third highest attempted assist over the past 5 game weeks, and that's coming from a defender. He's only behind Christian Eriksen and De Bruyne, so just to kind of put in the category where Reece James has been in terms of attempted assists over the past 5 game weeks. Alonso could be a great pick as well. I know he's had better underlying data than Reece James, but I went with Reece James just because purely the fact of that attempted assist kind of stat just lured me into picking him. This season, 5 goals, 7 assists. It's been a brilliant season for Reece James. Obviously, injury has plagued it a little bit, which, you know, has kind of ruined it. But look at the fixture they're playing in the final game. Watford at home. Watford have been pretty dreadful for a long time of the season now. And kind of, you can see that they're kind of stagnating out of the league. Leicester put 5 past them. How many can Chelsea put past them? And with Reece James kind of, you know, getting back to his old numbers in terms of underlying data, it could be an excellent game for them. You could even potentially go for a Chelsea double up. I know I will have a Chelsea double up as I free hit this week. So I'll have Marcos Alonso and Reece James against Watford at home. It does sound very appetizing. However, you do have to take into effect that Chelsea play on Thursday, so just take it with a little bit of pinch of salt. But definitely, if you are on a free hit draft, the Chelsea double up could be something that is very appetizing, but we've only gone for one Chelsea defender in our side. So let's move on to the midfield. Starting off our midfield, of course, we had to have this man in the side. It is Heung-min Son. Been absolutely fantastic second half of the season. 1 goal behind Mohamed Salah now, and easily could get it against a really poor Norwich side. Norwich have conceded the most goals this season, 79. I think only Leeds are 1 behind them with 78. They've also got the worst expected goals conceded this season. And for a player like Son, who's got 4 goals and 2 assists in his last 5 games, the highest scoring player over the past 5 game weeks, you're licking your lips. This is potentially one of the easiest captaincy options you could make. Norwich away. Norwich are down. Spurs need the win. You're going to be looking at a player who is going to absolutely thrive in this game, and it is Heung-min Son. He's been absolutely sensational all season. I'm absolutely gutted that I took him out in game week 31. It's the worst mistake I've made. I honestly think without it, with him in my team, I probably could have made top 100k. I'm around about 140 after yesterday, Richarlison's performance. Obviously, it says 170 on the side. I was making that while the Everton game was taking place, but Richarlison massively boosted me up as his captain. But if I'd have kept Son in my team, I honestly believe I would have been on for a top 100k finish. But you live and you learn. I'm going to probably try and get him back in for game week 38, and you should too, because that Norwich fixture, easy captaincy option. I imagine his effective ownership is going to be plus 100%. So if you don't have him and he does some serious damage, it could cause massive havoc on your final rank. Next to him, we have gone for Kevin De Bruyne, second highest scoring player over the past 5 game weeks. In his past 4 games, he scored 4 goals and 4 assists. Obviously, the goals kind of a little bit skewed after his sensational one-man band performance against Wolves, where he scored a 23-minute hat-trick, I believe. I owned him for that game and was absolutely ecstatic that I did. Highest attempted assists over the past 5 game weeks. Potentially could be back on penalties as well with Mahrez's miss against West Ham. Obviously, just depends whether or not City are in this title race. There could be a little bit of rotation if they're not, if they've already kind of secured the league. But I still believe Kevin De Bruyne will play. He's come back into the side. Second half of the season has been absolutely fantastic for City. One of their key men. And I can honestly say I can see him scoring against Villa in the final game. I could potentially see him having a massive influence on the title race if it comes down to that game. And he's a player that you just, he will be involved in the goals some way or somehow. He's been absolutely terrific over the past 5 game weeks. He is a player you definitely should be looking at. The next player in midfield is a little bit of a controversial one, and a player that maybe you could swap out for another player or not include in your side, but I've gone for Saka purely down to the fact that Spurs Arsenal need to win this final game to secure themselves top 4. It's against Everton, who potentially as well could need to win this game, so it could be, a really free-flowing game, open at the back, and Saka could be the man to exploit that. 2 goals, 2 assists in his past 5 game weeks, and second highest scoring Arsenal player over the past 5 game weeks. We know he's on penalties. We know it's a must-win game for Arsenal. And if they want to secure top 4 football, I believe the key players like Saka could be the ones to do it. Everton, we've obviously seen that they lost at the weekend as well to Brentford, conceding 3 goals. Obviously, this kind of myth that's been flying around that Everton are good at the back all of a sudden has kind of been played out within the media, but it's absolutely lies, to be honest. Their expected goals conceded has been terrible. It's mainly been the fact of individual performances have kept them clean sheets, like Jordan Pickford making sublime saves over the past few game weeks, kind of elevating the stat that Everton all of a sudden good at the back. I don't believe it. I don't fall for it. And with Arsenal needing the win, players like Saka could be absolutely huge for your game week. Next to Saka, we have gone for one of my favourite players I owned earlier this season. It's Jarrod Bowen. I think I brought him in when his ownership was about 5%. Absolutely loved owning him. And then obviously with the doubles and kind of West Ham's fixtures falling away and Europa League, we kind of forgot about West Ham players. And to be honest, we probably shouldn't have, because Jarrod Bowen has been putting up absolutely unbelievable numbers this season. 12 goals, 17 assists, absolutely crazy. 4th highest scoring player over the whole game this season. That kind of puts up where Jarrod Bowen's been forming, and a lot of us haven't had him in the team since about game week 30. Jarrod Bowen has been on absolutely fire. Last 5 game weeks, 3 goals, 3 assists. If West Ham win, they could finish above Manchester United as well, and I could definitely see it. Obviously taking on Brighton, who've been in a good run of form over the past few game weeks. Obviously probably a little bit disappointed to have drew to Leeds in the way that they did, conceding in the 92nd minute. But Jarrod Bowen, off the back of an absolutely scintillating performance against Manchester City, where he scored 2 on the break. He's a brilliant player, someone who I think we've massively overlooked over the past few game weeks because, they've had Europa League and he's only had single game week fixtures, but he's still putting up the numbers. He's a terrific asset to own, and maybe a differential captain you could go for. If West Ham get the win, they get Europa League football back, and if United lose, obviously. So it's a big game for West Ham. They'll want to finish the season strong, as will this man, as he, potentially could be in the shop window for a few clubs this season. So look out for that one. Little bit of a differential captain, someone I'm trying to get into my team somehow. So we'll see how that goes. But that is Jarrod Bowen. And the final man to complete our midfield is Luis Diaz, arguably one of the best January signings this season, has came into the Premier League and really adapted super quickly. 2 goals, 3 assists in his past 5 game weeks. Klopp really seems to like this lad as well. He seems to play in a lot of the big games. I think personally Liverpool will lose Mane this summer, as purely down to the fact that they're really happy with the performances that Luis Diaz has been putting in. Diego Jota as well has been fantastic throughout the season. But for me, if Liverpool obviously need the win against Wolves, I think they're going to put the strongest lineup out, and this man is going to be in it. Obviously, if Salah is fit, there's big question marks of what you do with your team. But for me, at the moment, Salah isn't fit, so we've gone for Luis Diaz in good form, putting up the numbers. Obviously, you could go for Mane and Jota as well, both fantastic picks. But Firmino is coming back as well. So there's a lot of players kind of could fit in that role. But for me, Luis Diaz is probably the most nailed out of them. Klopp really seems to favour him, and he's been excellent since signing for the Reds. And to start our front line, we go for a little bit of a weird option. We've gone for Ivan Toney. Only 1 assist, 0 goals in his past 5 game weeks. So obviously, the numbers haven't been there for Toney, but he is Brentford's key man. Brentford been in excellent form since pretty much Christian Eriksen's signed. He could be a player that you go for as well in midfield. Obviously, on set pieces has looked absolutely fantastic against Everton. So if you are looking for potentially a differential midfielder, that could be a man. But we've gone for Toney up front. He's on penalties. There's obviously a lot of question marks around what his plans are for the summer. There's a few videos that have come out, obviously, where he's dissed Brentford. And I think potentially if the right money comes in, Brentford could sell him. The Leeds fixture as well is very appetising. Leeds probably going to need to win that game to stay up. Leeds have conceded the second most goals this season. And you know what? It's a must-win game for Leeds, so there's going to be spaces to exploit for Brentford. We obviously saw how great they were against Everton as well. Obviously, Everton kind of capitulated themselves a little bit with the 2 red cards, but I thought Tony actually played really well. A real handful, a real menace to deal with. Potentially should have had an assist. He put a beautiful ball across the face of the goal, but didn't anything come of that. He's on penalties as well. And potentially a massive differential captaincy option. One of my mates who is a Leeds fan at work, I work in Leeds, so meet a lot of Leeds fans, and they're like, we're going to concede. Ivan Toney will do it. We're rubbish at the back. They are not confident in Leeds' defensive display at the moment. And Brentford's probably best attacking outlet is Ivan Toney, so that is why I've included him in my team. And to complete our front line, we have gone for Nketiah. 4 goals, 0 assists in the past 5 game weeks. 19 shots, 10 of those being on target, so getting plenty of shots away. I really like Nketiah. Obviously, we've spoke about it potentially being a must-win for both sides. There's going to be space to exploit, and this could potentially be his last game for Arsenal with his contract running out in the summer. So it could be like the one last chance for him to prove himself to Arteta, to offer him the contract, or to kind of put himself in the shop window. Obviously, if he has an absolutely fantastic display, there's going to be more suitors in the summer. I think it's like Crystal Palace, Southampton are a few of the clubs that have been linked with him. But obviously, if you can put another fantastic performance in, there's probably going to be some European suitors as well for the man. So I imagine this for him is a big game where he wants to prove himself. If he does want to stay at Arsenal as well, this could be like the kind of game, if he gets some top 4, easily could bag himself a contract just like that if he has a fantastic performance. Lots to play for him, lots to play for Arsenal as well, so that is why I've included him up front. Moving on to the bench, obviously we have gone for Ben Foster. Easy, 4 million goalkeeper, like happy days. He's been brilliant all season for kind of being a 4 million goalkeeper, not in terms of his Watford performances. We will miss him next season. Chalobah is a player that I included before I kind of looked into Sessegnon. I'd probably say go Sessegnon just down to his expected goal involvements, but I included Chalobah down to the fact that when he plays, Chelsea don't lose at the back. Obviously, this is in terms of 90-minute football. I know they lost in the FA Cup against Liverpool on penalties and Chalobah played, but in terms of 90 minutes of football, they don't lose when Chalobah's at the back. Obviously, with them losing Christensen and Rudiger, there is spaces at the back, and kind of Tuchel needs to prepare for who's going to play within that back three if he keeps the back three system next year. And I believe Chalobah could be one of the men who could potentially step up to the mark. So it could be a game for him. Personally, I do prefer Sessegnon, down to the fact that they played Norwich and his underlying data. Obviously, there's a plethora of other cheap defenders that you could go for this week, but we have gone for Chalobah. Next to him is Marty, 4 million. You know, he's just there to fill a space on the bench, to be honest, and help the rest of the budget out for the team. And finally, we've gone for Young Coombs, but personally, I would change that after watching clippets of Gelhardt yesterday for Leeds. Again, speak to a lot of Leeds fans at work, and they honestly love Gelhardt. They absolutely rave about this young man. Think he's an absolutely sensational footballer and believe he's going to have a massive part in Leeds' future. They really want to keep him if they go down as well, is what I'm hearing. So potentially he's got suitors, and I do believe that he'll start after his beautiful, beautiful assist against Brighton. So for me, that would be the cheap forward that I would go for. If you did enjoy today's Game Week 38 free hit draft, then please do subscribe to the channel. Please do like the video, and down below in the comments, let me know what your plans are for Game Week 38. I answer all the comments down there, so just let me know what your plans are. If you've got any dilemmas as well, I'll answer them. And don't forget to follow me on Twitter at FPL Tom. I answer questions on there as well. Message me, whatever, I'll answer them. But I hope you have enjoyed this Game Week 38 free hit draft. Thank you for helping me reach 100 subs by the end of the season. I absolutely can't believe we've done it. Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your day, and good luck for the final game week of the season.